This is Shadowcast Radio.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Shadowcast Radio with your host, Owen Brazington,
Preston Ackerman,
Nathan Brazington.
And for this week, we thought we'd shake it up a little bit and just do kind of a fun get to know your host episodes.
Woo! Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Because you guys don't know anything about us, really.
We're foreign.
Yeah.
No, we were going to do a part 2 to the pain episode, which was Owen's topic and really a good one. But we have a guest lined out for that, and that got, due to scheduling things, that's going to be pushed back one. So look for that, but fun bonus ep in the middle of them. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Yep. And so disclaimer for this episode, none of us are prepared for the questions that each of the other hosts is bringing to these topics.
Zero show prep at all.
So
No
probably you should just shut it down this week.
This may be
and join us in 2 weeks.
This is some hot garbage.
No, actually, I think it will be fun because there's a few things that, like, I just want to see what's going on in your life, and also there's some points that I could really bring up for the audience that I think would be helpful.
Do I sense a rebuke coming our way?
I think there's going to be plenty of rebukes to go around. I'm feeling like
I'm loving it. So there's no particular order, really. Whatever questions you want to bring.
So
are we going to start?
Question. Is there a question of the this episode, or is it? We already know the whole ep will be questionable, but is there an actual question of the ep, or is it just questions?
Well,
throughout?
I would say yes, just so we can get the sound effect.
Oh yeah, the horn.
Or we could just put that sound effect on every question.
Oh, that might be
Or
good.
would that
Actually,
be a
that's
little
annoying.
I don't know.
I think
like
it's pretty cool.
It's pretty majestic.
It is majestic.
Okay, if you have feedback,
no guarantee each question will be majestic.
we're not as worried about legitimate feedback, but really let us know what you think of the question of the ep sound effect.
Yeah, well, that's mainly what we're...
Also, too, we want questions of the ep from you guys as well.
Yes.
So if you can think of some ridiculous question that you want all of us to be able to answer on the air, please email us feedback@shadowcastradio.com.
That is a good
Please send us your questions.
Yep.
That's right.
We've actually had some really good ones, and so hopefully we've done a decent job of addressing some of those questions in the past, and we look forward to doing more in the future.
Yep. Any questions, topics, theological topics, or whatever?
And even if it's just a really good nonsense stumper, send it our way as well.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Good.
We might be better at those than the others, to be honest, but no.
Well, with the first question.
Is it like rapid fire? Is that what you're going to do to us?
No,
rapid fire,
there's not necessarily any protocol that we have to follow. So it can be switched up.
Hit us.
But for this one, if you had to pick one of the most inspiring speeches that you've heard audibly
from the Middle Ages,
can be any time period.
No,
wait,
you've heard audibly. Sorry, I was making a joke
could be
because
recorded or in person audibly.
No. Okay, you didn't just
I totally
hear.
derailed you. Sorry.
It can't be a speech that you. Well, it could be a speech that you're
not going well. So, any speech that you may or may not have heard
audibly.
Oh well, I was thinking read. You could have read a speech, but what is one of your most inspiring speeches that you've heard, or
like read?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
You got something up?
I do.
You want to share?
I do, and it's actually from a historical movie.
Okay.
And if none of you guys have ever seen, or if any of you guys have never seen this, I would recommend it with 5 stars.
Ooh. Okay.
And it is actually dealing with American history. Pete, do you know what I'm talking about?
Gettysburg?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And there is a 2-minute speech, and I want to play this because
cool.
it is fantastic. And I think when you have a good speech, that's like 80% of it. But if you throw down an epic soundtrack behind it's like a multiplier.
It's double anointing.
So here's the real question, though. When it was given live, and I know it's not 100% historically accurate, but do you think he had a guy like around the tree that's like fiddling some epic music just to add that extra, put it over the top?
Yeah.
They're all like, where's that coming from?
What is that? But man, his words are inspiring.
So good. So good.
And it really, music,
so
and we've talked about this on the past episode, where music just has the ability to inspire the soul of man. And so this is Chamberlain's speech right before Gettysburg took place. And he's addressing some Union prisoners that were taken captive because they were going to hightail it out of there. They didn't want to fight anymore. And he spoke to the cause of the upcoming battle that they spoke. And here's his speech.
I'm glad you did this one. It's awesome.
But if you're going to fight alongside us, there's a few things I want you to know. This regiment was formed last summer in Maine. There were 1,000 of us then. There are less than 300 of us now. All of us volunteered to fight for the Union, just as you did. Some came mainly because we were bored at home. Thought this looked like it might be fun. Some came because we were ashamed not to. Many of us came because it was the right thing to do. And all of us have seen men die. This is a different kind of army. If you look back through history, you will see men fighting for pay, for women, for some other kind of loot. They fight for land, power. Because a king leads them, or just because they like killing. But we are here for something new. This has not happened much in the history of the world. We are an army out to set other men free. America should be free ground. All of it. Not divided by a line between slave state and free. All the way. From here to the Pacific Ocean. No man has to bow. No man born to royalty. Here we judge you by what you do, not by who your father was. Here you can be something. Here is the place to build a home. But it's not the land. There's always more land. It's the idea that we all have value. You and me. What we're fighting for, in the end, we're fighting for each other.
Oh, I was going to say you should let it go a tiny bit more, because then I love how he talks about, like, I think if we lose this battle, we lose the war. And so personally, I would be very grateful if you joined us. And I just thought, like, historically, I mean, everything he said was awesome, but historically, that probably was true. If they lose that battle, they probably do lose the war.
Man. And you know what? I just hear that speech and I just think of, this was a nation formed by men who pursued God and the things of God. And that's talk coming from a man that looks to God as creator and has adopted the ideas of God.
Yeah.
And so it's a sad thing that we've come to where we are now, but it is a great reminder of the men that came before us. And I just love that.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one.
Yeah. Good one, man. I can't think of a thing.
Fair enough.
I guess I'm just not a speech guy. I don't know. I guess I like quotes. I don't know. I like books, and so it's hard to remember certain lines and if the context of that was a speech or not. So I'm thinking like even fiction speeches. So real or fake. Wait, do they have to be real? Is that what you're saying? Like historical speeches?
No, they can be anything.
They could be like fiction speeches.
Yeah.
Well, that changes the game.
Man. Yeah, that's a tough one. What are you thinking, Nathan? Do you have any ideas?
Man, I feel like there's a lot of good speeches connected with battle.
Yeah.
I think, even biblically, there's some awesome moments where it was I even think of Joshua saying, choose this day who you will serve, but for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I think of certain defining moments where it was like, it's almost the scene is set up with, the weights are in the balance and how's it going to tip, Yeah. And so I think those are always epic moments, and you see those in fantasy and even in history. I think that there's been some great speeches by everyone from, certainly Lincoln. Let's see, that World War II is, I feel like it got a plethora of great speeches. So yeah, I guess I don't have a specific one that comes to mind, but I think anything that talks about giving the ultimate sacrifice, giving up of one's life for another or for a cause that is worthy, I think is pretty powerful.
That's good.
Yeah, those tend to be the better speeches.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess one I'm thinking of, and again, I don't want to drag every episode after our Lewis and Tolkien series back to Lewis and Tolkien, but one I'm immediately thinking of is there's this scene in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader when I forget what they call it. It's the island that's dark. It's the dark island, right? In that scene. Yeah. And everyone on board of the Dawn Treader are worried and don't want to enter into it. But Reepicheep kind of has this speech and rebukes them all. And he talks about, well, what like honor is there in seeing an adventure before you that's risky, but not moving forward into it? We would be cowards. And I want to find the exact quote. Maybe I'll find it later. But I remember reading that part and personally kind of it's a profound idea. I think we ought to have a similar optimism and sense of adventure that Reepicheep had, and to go into those dangerous areas and the dark places with the light.
I like that.
And I think that's what Lewis was trying to communicate there in that scene in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. So that's good. Yeah. I like it. I think that would be mine.
That's awesome.
No, that's a good one, man. Okay, so I have another quick question. So I can either just ask the question straightforward, but I think I want to kind of give it the sort of the fairy tale spin. So you guys know the moment when Edmund meets the White Witch and he's hungry and he asks for Turkish delight.
Yep.
My question for you is, if you were to run into the White Witch, what would you request to eat if you were hungry? What's your Turkish delight?
My Turkish
delight. Or I could just say, what food do you like?
Yeah.
But I figured
another way of stating that.
I could give it that little twist there. So what's your Turkish delight?
I've got to tell you, what he was eating looked fantastic. Like I was like, I want that. Yeah. Honestly, it reminded me of those raspberry donuts. That are powdered and filled, and I was like, too. I love them. Oh, yeah, and so that's what I would pick.
They look like it. Yeah. They got the white powder and the raspberry.
Those are my man. I can't.
Do they still make those things?
Oh yeah. I will buy a 6-pack of them and have them gone in a day.
Dude, totally. Totally. Those are
not good.
That's a good answer. Yeah. I totally made that same exact association when I watched that too.
That's awesome.
I don't know what Turkish delight is, but raspberry-filled donuts they're a good answer, man.
I think if it was a dessert type, if that's the option, I'm still just a sucker for Oreos. Like, and there's so many good types. I feel like there's, like, if you got a good variety platter of Oreos, That would probably do it for me. I know it's ridiculous, but
That's really funny.
I don't know.
I just like the image of the scene where you were like meeting the White Witch and you're like, can I have some Oreos?
It's got to be a variety though, or else
You just get the plain or like the thin, non-double stuffed. You're like, no,
It'd
no,
be an
ma'am,
Oreo
this isn't
platter.
it.
an Oreo platter, an Oreo variety platter.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in. How about you,
that's
P?
funny.
That is so funny, man. Yeah, Oreos are classic. I like them, especially with milk too. Just like dunking those things in there.
Double stuff.
Double stuff with milk. No, that's a great answer. So I think my Turkish delight would probably be cinnamon bears. You guys ever eat cinnamon bears?
Yeah,
Really?
they are
Dude.
good.
I love them.
That's interesting.
See, as a child, my dad would have them in his bag, and I would always rummage through his little candy bag and take all of his cinnamon bears. And I saw recently that there's a new wave of those being sold now.
Oh.
I feel like from my childhood up to maybe a few years, I couldn't find them anywhere.
They were out.
Huh.
Yeah. And then at any random convenience store, you would just see like a Ziploc bag people selling. It seems so
Those are
sketchy.
questionable.
It was,
Don't
but I'm
buy
like,
those.
done.
Yeah.
They were
And then I
made
saw
for
they were
people
like
you.
packaged.
It's only half open. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Hey, that one's still. There's at least a couple good ones in there. I'm going in.
No, seriously, like at the Flying J, I remember seeing them like up on the counter. Like, whoop.
I feel like
Like,
that's a poor
where'd you
life
find them?
decision.
Oh my
Oh
god.
man.
That's
Oh.
funny.
So we've got a semi-serious one, and then a not serious one. What do you guys want first?
Let's go with semi. No, not serious.
Not serious. Okay, Preston.
Uh-oh.
What is what is one area of Owen's life that deeply needs sanctification?
Oh, no. This is going to be a disaster.
Oh man. No, just kidding. Don't answer that. But
It would be his. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, it looked
knew
like
I
you had a
knew it.
number of answers.
I'm
you were
like, let me see
sifting
here.
through.
Well, let me open my
Let me go
prayer
get my-
list here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I
No.
keep very detailed notes.
So the semi-serious one though, what is how is God sanctifying each of you guys in your lives right now?
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah, it's good. Owen?
That's a good question.
Yeah, how's God been sanctifying you? I'm trying to put into words a succinct answer.
Sure.
I guess what I want to do is just share some scripture that's stood out to me recently, especially within the context of the secularization of our culture and
Sure.
just the vast depravity of it that's no longer hidden but expressed now
Right.
and celebrated. It's tough to be reminded that God is, of course, sovereign,
Right.
and that we are built for another world, and He will faithfully bring us into the garden,
The new thing, yeah.
the new garden. I read this verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 9 a few weeks back, and it just struck me, and I needed to hear it. It's an important point that Paul is establishing in his first letter to the church in Corinth. The faithfulness of God. This is this is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 9. God is faithful, by whom you were called into the fellowship of His Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. And so what struck me about that is that we can, I think, tend to view Jesus as, of course, Savior and Lord and Master. And so he's in a, as far as hierarchy is concerned, he's at the tallest and highest peer.
Right.
He seems high and lofty and exalted, which he is. And I think we can naturally think he's far from us, but he's invited us into fellowship with him. And fellowship is it's not a far away thing. It is a nearness thing, a face-to-face sort of thing. And to be reminded that we were called into his fellowship. Maybe I'm just a Lord of the Rings nerd and I just love like the fellowship of the ring and that concept and this bond of brothers who will risk life and for a mission and for a higher good, even offer up their own lives. And I just find that reality powerful, and it struck me, and I needed to hear it. I'm not of this world. I am part of the fellowship of Christ. And it's been good to just be reminded of that. Paul later in his in the first letter to the church in Corinth, he also, this is the second thing that kind of struck me, in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, this is actually within the context of sexual immorality. So like what dealing does Christ have with darkness and like members of a prostitute, and are they to be joined with Christ? Or with yourself, right? By no means, never. Verse 16 really struck me as well too. I think it is a similar idea. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. But he who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. So what's striking to me about this, if I can kind of be somewhat serious here, is this verse, but he who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with him, it seems like it's almost randomly placed here, because the context before it is talking about sexual immorality, and then the verse following it is about sexual immorality. But apparently there is a greater nearness and closeness, and I think a fellowship with being one spirit with Christ, being joined to him. So the joining of marriage is a type of something that we are going to be expecting in the future, the marriage to Christ. And so then it's a more perfect reality that we will be joined with Christ to a greater degree than we will be joined to any marriage partner. And so I think both of those play into the ideas of, fellowship and being in union with Christ. And those are powerful reminders that have struck me recently as I'm a sojourner in this world and, anticipating the new garden. So I think God's been doing a good work in that respect there, faithfully reminding me to persevere toward the new garden.
That's good, man.
That's good. Mine, I guess, would couple with that. If I'm honest, I really struggle with fear, anxiety, and a lot of times inadequacy. And so that's on multiple fronts, whether that's sometimes as a good parent, as a good husband, as a teacher of the word, that carries a weighty responsibility to it. You want to be faithful to God's word and say what it's saying and don't say what it's not. And then also as a student learning, through school, seminary. So I don't know. Obviously God carries us through certain seasons in our life, but I feel like this one has been really a struggle and a big growth opportunity for me in the aspects of trust and reliance on God, and then also continuing in faithfulness. So it seems like there's a lot of times where I'll read certain news articles or whatever, or certain things will be going on around us where you feel like you have zero control, and that's hard, and you're tempted to say you call into question faithfulness in situations like that. And it's really been a thing where God has been teaching me that in those circumstances where it seems bleak, or there's a lot of scary things ahead, or potential bad outcomes that could be, that you see, you can't pause, or if you're honest, there's a lot of things where you can't see any positive outcomes, at least here on this side, shortly. And so in that, learning what it means to be faithful to what he's called you, and yet persevering in prayer, but also relying and trusting in the sovereignty of God, the faithfulness of God. And you understand these concepts in your head, but a lot of times applying those both together at the same time is another thing.
Sure.
They say the farthest distance is from your head to your heart. And so that's really been a season for me where I've had to learn both of those together. And a verse that will always probably be my life verse is Philippians 1:6, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. And I love that.
Yeah.
The first part of that, I left that out, being confident of this, right? Because I'm not always confident, but it's those cases where you have to continually revisit God's word and remind yourself of promises. And it may not be stuff you already know, but it's when your emotions are telling you one thing, you come back to, no, my emotions don't dictate truth. I've got to go back to the foundation of God's word. And so that's really been a practice for me, I'd say, within the past season. And I'm thankful for it, but it's you think you got at least part of the lesson down, but then you realize that, nope, I still got a lot more to learn. And so I'm thankful for that, but at times it has been tough. Speaking the truth of God's word, even when your emotions say different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Pete, how about you?
Well, two things that come to mind. One of our pastors, Pastor Will, shout out, brother. We've had him on the show a few times now, and a good friend of all of ours. But he's been preaching through the parables, and he did the parable of the unforgiving servant. And, that's one I know well, but it did strike me again, and I was definitely convicted of just times, a lot of it's situational, but times when I've been unforgiving, especially in light of what God has forgiven me of. And so that's been convicting. And so really just praying through, what are those areas that, that I've been wrong in that. And then another area is just, really the renewal of the mind, such a, I think, key concept. And you see it pop up at different times, but the idea that as God sanctifies us, I think I can be focused on, don't do this because it's bad. It's sin against God, which is very true. I want to avoid those things. But the true blessing is when God changes my mind so that I don't even desire those things anymore.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I've been challenged, but also so encouraged that is a product of sanctification when we see that, I'm more in alignment with God, the way he thinks and feels about these things. And I no longer desire that. And I don't think that's always our experience, but I've seen that, and I'm hungry for more, because I know there's a lot of areas that I need some real renewal of the mind in. And so, just praying that God will continue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's good. Well, Preston, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah. Why are questions being directed at me by name?
I am curious.
Shots are going to be fired.
Real quick.
I don't think you're that curious, actually.
When you were were you the 2007 and 2008 baseball champion?
What?
On a team?
Yeah, I was.
What?
State champion, yeah.
I did not know you played baseball.
Not know.
You didn't know I played baseball?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
So during the regular season, I was a shortstop. And then when we played All-Stars, which is when I won those championships, well, our team did.
You won 2 ships or just one?
2. It's
What?
So we went to
Back-to-back ships?
back to back, and we were in actually a third.
Uh-huh.
And what's crazy is I didn't end up actually playing in the game. I hurt my foot.
Oh.
But we were competing for a 3-peat, and we got whooped.
Oh, really?
What's crazy though is that we were the heavy favorite, and then we got 10 run, like our best pitcher, like the guys were just hitting off of them, and there's like nothing you could do when you. And what's crazy is that team that beat us, they got 10-run ruled by a team that we 10-run ruled.
Oh, really?
Does that make sense?
Wow.
So there's like a mercy rule
Right.
when I was playing in Babe Ruth, where if you score 10 points on your opponent, then the game was over. It's sort of a mercy rule. So we did that to a team. Then they did that to this team that beat us.
That's crazy.
So it was just this weird thing
It
that happened.
Wasn't meant to be. Huh?
But yeah, it wasn't meant to be, I guess. But
Interesting.
anyway, yeah, I did.
Still, though, back-to-back, that's
Yep.
impressive.
Oh, I
man.
played left field during All
Okay.
Stars, and I did get to play a little bit of shortstop, but there was another guy playing shortstop.
Nice.
Good player.
Nice.
That's cool. Wow, where did you dig
Well,
that gem up? That's what I want to know.
That's actually, we were out at the ball field today and just saw your
Yeah, we
Your
have
name
like championship
and
banners
your
up there.
picture.
Oh, that's cool.
My picture is the picture up there.
Yeah, I think it was like a profile. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't.
Oh, for the love.
But actually, yeah.
Yeah,
So I see you're not hesitant in touting your past achievements. So that's not a problem
So
for you.
coming
huh?
back to the areas of sanctification.
No,
we just
that's,
jot that
that's
down
actually
and-
that is really cool,
dude. What's interesting though is
I didn't know you played baseball.
but I didn't play afterward. And the reason why is because I remember I would get the worst anxiety when I was on deck to bat. I didn't bat bad. Like I was a good hitter, but I just had the worst anxiety when I was on deck getting ready to hit.
crazy.
And so I didn't want that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had some parents that were pretty upset at me that I didn't continue up. I forget what the next tier of it was called. Because that was Babe Ruth. So like I was in what, junior high or like 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Legion, American Legion.
American
after
Legion,
that?
I think is what it was called. And I didn't play with any of my other teammates because I just couldn't stand that feeling, man.
Wow,
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was interesting.
That's cool.
I have a follow-up question on that as long as we're still on Preston here. So we all know that God has given you the spiritual gifting of
I don't like this
of good
question
looks.
already.
And so I'm just wondering how
brother.
how have you been using
How have you
that
been dealing with that?
for the good of the body?
Yeah, it is selfish to keep that to
It is-
yourself.
It is, which leads into our calendar question.
Yes. Nathan, are we almost?
The calendar
how's
is a
it coming
go.
along?
It's a go.
Be on the lookout in November.
Some hot merch coming your way.
That's really funny.
Hey, we do have some more nice Shadowcast Yeti mugs that we need to do something with.
Oh yeah, true. We gotta
Maybe we
give
need
away
to do
those
another-
and a book. I
another-
think we still have
Yeah.
2 more books left.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
We took
need
a
to do
small
another
little break
giveaway
from the
soon.
giveaways.
What so the 2 books are
Wait for it.
Drum roll.
these I can tell you that these are killer books. The Holiness of God, R.C. Sproul.
That one.
Preston, I am borrowing your book. I'm sorry, I will return it. And it's fantastic from the half that I've read.
Oh, did I borrow you my? I
Yeah,
did borrow
you
you
did.
my version.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. And another great one is Slaying Leviathan.
Oh, that's one you read, huh?
This
haven't
one,
read that one.
I'm going to throw a shout out to Clark Saltz. He recommended this, and many of you guys maybe have dealt with the passage of Romans 13,
Right.
and how is that to be interpreted, especially in our current situation here in America. And this provides some incredible insight, historical insight into faithful Christians who have addressed this from many different perspectives in the past. And so I think sometimes we get the tendency that this question hasn't been addressed up until this point. Well, that's folly. And it provides some great historical background for Christian approach to this topic. Yeah. And so I would encourage you guys, if that is something that you've kind of struggled with, because I certainly have, this provides some great insight. So it's Slaying Leviathan by Glenn S. Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So check it out on your own if you want, or hopefully in the near future here we'll do
some more giveaways.
Cool.
What have you brothers been listening to? You have any hot music right now that you want to share with the listeners?
Ooh.
Speaking of things you've enjoyed lately.
Good question.
Man, that's a great question.
I'm just going to keep asking questions so that you guys don't get a
ask
chance to send them back.
That's smart.
It's working.
That's a great question, man. So there's a really great band that's called Colony House. So Colony House is a fantastic band. Do you guys know Stephen Curtis Chapman?
Yeah.
Well, he has two sons. One's a drummer and one's a singer, and they started this band, Colony House.
That's cool.
And so this band has a lot of really cool, almost nostalgic sounds to them because if you grow up under Stephen Curtis Chapman, you're going to be influenced by a lot of the music that he wrote. And you can see a lot of those a lot of those ideas come through, those flavors, those tastes come through in their music. Yeah. But their drummer is so sick too, because it's not just like a clean one-off drum beat the entire time. Yeah. The drummer sets the pace and the song goes in different directions, and it's just an excellent band. Check out Colony House.
Cool.
And Andrew Nealon was the one who actually pointed them out to me. Nice. So fantastic band. Absolutely highly recommend them. Okay. They are really, really good.
Nice.
I would recommend, man, there's so many good songs.
You have some really good music that you've shared with me. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah.
I feel like I'm out of the music scene, but you've kind of, you're a good connector for me.
We're old now. Yeah. We don't.
There's this lady named Sandy Patty. Have you? Just kidding.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good question.
No. Yeah. What is man, you showed me one when we were on that drive together. Mm-hmm. What was the name of that band?
Was it a band or was it a
It was
song?
a group. It was a group.
Oh, was it the Grey Havens?
Grey Havens.
Oh,
dude.
I love their music.
The Grey Havens is my favorite band.
Fantastic.
They are my favorite band.
So I'm very good.
Mm-hmm.
You've done. And then what was the soul worship, that group?
Oh, Isla Vista,
Yeah.
I think.
They have some great worship. Yeah. I like them.
Specifically the ones with Mark Barlow. He's got that really kind of soulfully voice with him. Yeah. Fantastic.
No,
That's good.
Those are all good.
So I'm going to take it in a different direction.
Wait, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Sorry.
You've been
bumping
what jams?
I do always love Grey Havens. With the boys, actually, so I like Pandora a lot. So we often rock epic soundtracks. But recently we've gotten into rediscovering some classical music. So during their school, while they're doing academy there at home, we do we'll put on some classical, and I forget there is legitimately great music that's like very skillfully and almost just tells a story in and of itself. And I kind of rediscovered that. I forgot all about that whole genre.
Cool.
And I do still, I'm not good, like you said, Owen, at finding some of the new stuff out there, but I still love Jonathan Ogden. Rivers and Robots is the other project, which I think they're not doing.
Yeah, so they're no longer
anymore.
Rivers and Robots anymore as a band, but Jonathan Ogden is
he's still doing stuff.
Yeah, still doing stuff.
Yeah, just a lot of good stuff there. One of my all-time favorites that is also known. I have a lot of favorites that are no longer bands, so I don't know what that says about me. But
have you heard of Pillar? They're real good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, I still like a band called Mute Math. They're no longer together, but their drummer, actually, it made me think of them when you were talking about that. They had a drummer named Darren King, just a phenomenal drummer, and just would play up their music. Like, they're not super intricate song schemes, but he added so much depth and versatility that it was truly just a delight to listen to.
That is cool.
Yeah. Anyways.
Can I take one of your points, studying music?
Oh, sure.
So I've found that when I am doing a class, especially for school, one
as
that
opposed to any other context.
Yes, I guess so.
You take classes outside of
I'm
school.
going to kind of, here's the nerd side coming out. If you guys get a chance for study music, the Skyrim soundtrack, Skyrim, it's kind of that music where you listen to and immediately your head goes to like a grand adventure where you're embarking on some great.
I love music like that.
Yeah. It really takes your mind places to where you're doing something awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I would
Other
say
than studying.
yes, that's true. So maybe it's not the best. I don't know.
Wow.
But I would say one thing I've been listening to that has been fantastic, I would recommend it, is a series done by Steve Lawson. It's called The Attributes of God.
Oh, cool.
And it's probably 9.
What's it about?
Well, I'm going to leave that up to you to find out.
Okay.
And
It's up to your own interpretation.
but specifically, it's like 9 sessions that are an hour long. And it's when you look it up on YouTube, just say Attributes of God, Steve Lawson, and it's specifically Grace Life London. So he's addressing this crew in London, and it's cool. They have Q&A sessions to ask about certain aspects, and he does a great job of covering stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah.
It's awesome.
Nice.
While you're talking about recommends for just biblical material, this is one that goes way back, but I still love it. It's an app called Streetlights.
Yeah.
And it's a Bible.
Cool.
A live reading with music to it, and for a long time. They've been out there for a minute now, but I just enjoy it.
Super
so
solid.
much.
Yeah. No, they've got some great stuff too.
Yeah. Which this ties back.
And it's a free app, I bet.
It is.
Yeah,
It
right?
is, yeah. Really good. So anyway, Streetlights, check that out. But that brings me to something I was going to ask you guys, and I forgot.
wanted to shout out.
No, shout it out. Shout it out.
I want to shout out Tim Brindle. You brought up the Attributes of God.
Yes.
Okay.
So Charlene wrote an album called The Attributes of God. And he has Tim Brindle on one of the songs, and it's just Timothy Brindle. It was kind of my first introduction to him. It's called what is it called? I think it's just called Self-Sufficiency. And it's about specifically that divine attribute of God, that he is dependent and self-sufficient, that he is his own eternal fountain and he's dependent on none. And what's so kind of counterintuitive about that is that is the good news of God, that he is not dependent upon us. That means he is his own eternal fountain. He is his own joy. He is perfect in all of his attributes in that respect. And he lovingly offers us to drink deeply of his eternal fountain of Christ. And that's the good news of it, that well will never run out. It is an eternal fountain. God doesn't need us. And it's that weird like reversal that he doesn't need us, but he does offer Christ to us.
That's good.
You know? And so that song, like there's times where I remember I was like driving and that song came on and it was like worship. It's like this rap kind of, when you get those like moments where the beauty of God and his eternality and his glory is just revealed to you in a moment. It's compelling, and I was in tears, worship. So shout out Brindle again, and Shylin, The Attributes of God.
We got to have you. We got to have you back on, Brother Brindle.
I'd love that.
Be good.
So
Hold on.
I want to. Oh,
No,
go ahead.
it's not your turn.
Hold on, I'm just going.
How many?
I'm still going.
For the love.
No, but this one I did want to ask you guys. Favorite chapter of the Bible?
Oh, that is a
love it.
stupid question. You can't ask me
You
for
always
one
like
chapter.
Owen's question. Well,
No, I don't.
Just-
I always. I mean, I like them.
Hey, will you ask me what Preston needs to be sanctified in?
let's come back to that.
I'll answer it.
Circle back.
I like them. I just don't like the time restraints you
Okay,
put on me.
it doesn't have to be for all time. Like you're not committing
Romans 8.
yourself. Okay,
Romans
I love
8
it,
is
man.
so good.
I
man.
love
It is
Romans
good.
8.
I'm throwing out Isaiah 53.
I was thinking Isaiah
Solid.
40.
Ooh,
Snap.
Dude, I don't know. I think Revelation 21.
yeah. 22 is also amazing. Yeah.
I don't know. That's impossible. This is an impossible question to
I win.
all right. Yeah, you stumped me. I can't pick one, man.
Yeah, that's
All
a
right,
tough
fair
one.
enough.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, how about this one? When you read the Old Testament, New Testament, what is one character, historical character in the Bible, that you just relate to very well? And why?
Preston's going to say Melchizedek. I know it.
Oh. I don't even know how to juggle that accusation. Yeah. If you relate to Melchizedek, you're quite lofty. If you think I like Melchizedek,
Take it how you will.
no way.
Just kidding.
No, how do I?
Who do you relate to most?
Like
Yeah,
who do
the
you
question?
like? Who do you
just?
like from a personality standpoint
Yeah,
or
I
similar
would say
struggles?
let's say from a personality,
imagine?
where you can just if you were to meet them in heaven, you'd have like a connection. Like I get you, man.
I get you, man.
Or maybe it's a lady. I don't know.
question.
It could, personality wise, that's maybe it. You don't have to limit it to personality. Like my dad has often said, he relates well with Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard him say that. Well, what about you?
I was thinking about it, and I love Daniel.
Yeah.
His consistency and faithfulness,
Yeah.
and where stuff is just going on insane. Like he lived through multiple reigns, and just his faithfulness in difficult environments. And that really resonates. Just God enabled him to remain faithful during those times, and he was a man most likely slow to speak, quick to think, and discerning and wise, and that's something I'd like. I don't know. It just resonates.
Aspire to?
Yeah, that I really admire.
Yeah, that's good.
I could see some Christ-like traits in you, similar to Daniel, for sure.
Man, I love the story of Daniel too.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Man, what a tricky. Because it's hard for me to.
Can I say one for you, Preston?
Oh, yeah. I got nothing, man. So,
I feel like Preston's I feel like he's taking a beating.
No. This is a high compliment.
you know the wicked king Ahab?
Actually, you have said that before. That's horrible.
I know. That was just.
I'm totally kidding.
No, I see in you a bit of Apollos, in the aspect that he was very learned, he was very wise regarding the scriptures, and he strongly refuted the Jews and helped greatly those who were around him. And so that fact, I just see a picture occurs to me when you ran into those Jehovah Witnesses in Colombia, and you were quick to share truth with them and blatantly point out their errors, and there was no hesitation in sharing the truth and correcting wrong views. And even in class, I can tell you that I appreciate that so much about you, that you are quick to, when there's an idea that comes in that's not biblical, you are quick to refute it in a way that's not, that's gentle, but it's never compromising. And I have a lot of respect for you. And I just see that trait in you that I also saw in Apollos. And so,
that's very kind, man. Is Apollos the one who gets rebuked in the book of Acts too? Not rebuked, but corrected as well by.
Well, Priscilla and Aquila came alongside of him.
Yeah,
and
that's right. And taught him the
better way.
better way. Yeah,
God used that greatly in building up the church around him.
Are you saying that you are Priscilla or Aquila?
No.
I think that's
is that the
so
angle?
that leads to my. No, just kidding.
I thought you said Old Testament though.
No, I meant any part.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any of the
Preston, I'll
scriptures.
say this too, though, brother, about you. you have very, very theologically minded, and you have a very strong grasp on doctrine and theology. And I think often that can create a lack of charity at times, but I don't see that in you. I know you're charitable because you've been very gracious to me when I've been a noob multiple times. So I see real charity in you, that you are not quick to throw a brother aside, even if you disagree or feel that they're in error. And I've always appreciated about you, because I think that can be difficult when you have strong convictions and you feel very firmly grounded by God's grace in theology and doctrine. So I do appreciate that, man. You're very charitable and gracious. And
I think
love that.
I appreciate that, brother. Those are very kind words, and I think that's very kind and generous, especially with those kinds of characters. Nathan, I'm thinking for you. It may sound cliche to say this, but like Nathan the prophet. Anytime anyone like mentions Nathan the prophet, I think of you. But
is it because their name is both Nathan?
But maybe it's.
Is that why?
That's why. No, but like the faithfulness of a brother to also rebuke and correct and to call out. I think there's a way to do it that's a kind way. And, I think were faithful to do that to me growing up in the youth group and being my youth leader. So I think that's a great quality, having a wisdom,
the ability to do that well.
But having a wisdom to be able to call out and correct when needed, and with a humility and a gentleness, so that I've not always been good at responding to your rebukes, but God has, of course, used you to sanctify me, and I'm grateful for that. And God has used you to sanctify me, Owen, in other ways too.
Impatience. Is that it?
I've grown
I'm just gonna say that. No, Owen,
you don't react as quickly.
I think similarly. Owen, similarly as well. You, I guess it's just hard to map on these things to what we think are personality traits of certain biblical characters. What we have is, like as far as the scriptures, I don't know if the goal of the scriptures is to map on personality traits to characters. Yeah, that's not the point of them. But there is a wisdom in being able to see how the inspired apostles reacted and were corrected and even rebuked one another. Paul rebuking Peter, and the humility and boldness there to do that. So we can obviously learn from that. And so I think you, similarly as you admonished me, I think you do the same work as well in being very precise whenever you teach and thorough in your examination of Scripture when you teach in Sunday school, man. There's always so much very important context and data that's communicated during each lesson, and it's very thoroughly researched and very fairly presented, and so I'm super grateful for your studious work there in preparation.
Man, praise
too,
God,
man.
For sure.
That's an encouragement.
Yeah, keep it up.
I feel like Peter. I feel like a lot, not in a admirable sense, but where I'm too quick to speak sometimes, and then I'm like, man, really blew that, so that's definitely something I've prayed for, has helped me to be quicker to listen and slower to speak.
No, that's good.
But I'm with you though. It's I think the point of it certainly is not to catch ourselves,
not to be more like
this isn't
Peter.
You're not David.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it can be useful to see things that are strengths that God has given us and that can be used for encouragement of the body of Christ, and also weaknesses that we need to be sanctified in. So I think
so the next question is, what are the weaknesses that you relate to? Just kidding. No, I'm kidding, man.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. Okay. So, what about like podcasts? You guys been listening to?
Just as a disclaimer,
podcasts?
I was not saying I'm like Daniel. I just say
nope.
You want to aspire to.
You said it. You heard it.
Daniel.
I know. Daniel, I said you were as well.
Yeah.
So
aspire
with
toward,
that.
Daniel.
Yeah. Podcasts I have been listening to.
What you been listening to?
I've been listening to some Sword in the Trial.
Yeah.
I kind of do in and out with that one. I'm in and out with all podcasts.
It's kind of the nature of how they work.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I've been dipping into that one, and man, I do like one called The Antithesis, but that one's been on break for a while, so I haven't. They're just playing best of episodes right now, so I haven't been real steady with anything right now. But
yeah,
how about you guys?
I don't know. Lately, I've liked a lot of Provoked.
Okay.
They've had some good podcasts, and
Sure.
one aspect of their podcast that I really like is that they are very intentional with sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
And so a lot of their interviews have been with people that are in difficult places and are very faithful in sharing the gospel, street preaching. And so I've got some really great insight from a lot of the guests they have on their show, and they certainly themselves are both faithful in pointing people to Jesus. And so I really appreciate that. I like that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to have them on maybe sometime. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pete?
So, man, there's a great series. It's pretty short. It's the Grey Havens podcast. Daniel or David Radford, the lead vocalist of the Grey Havens, he started a podcast that goes over the Blue Flower album, and he talks about each song, and because he's very much influenced by Lewis, and this album specifically was, I think, inspired by a few different things. He recalls, reading "Surprised by Joy," which is Lewis's autobiography, but there's also a lot of very much Narnia imagery that's interwoven in the songs, and he kind of details out each song and kind of what inspired it and what are the themes and the elements that he incorporated in the song. So if you love sort of the nerdy deep dive into sort of the themes and songwriting and even some of the music that's being produced from that perspective, the Grey Havens is a great podcast to listen to.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've caught a couple of those episodes. Those are good.
They're just excellent.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to kind of get to see those inspirations. And the Grey Havens is probably easily my favorite band.
Oh, they're awesome.
In fact, like the Grey Havens is it's the name of the Elvish port in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
That,
That's right.
And the idea there is it's sort of the symbol or the image of entering into, passing through the waters, and you enter into eternal life. And so that's kind of the image or the idea there. I think he's trying to play off that. And even in the early parts of their music too, there's lots of voyage and like water themes there that they play off of. Man, they're a great band. Check them out.
Well, final questions.
Final
Do
questions.
a final lightning round or something.
Okay.
All right.
Pete, this is for you.
Okay.
Biggest advice you can offer to
Preston.
a dad and mom who are expecting or who will be having multiple children, who are younger parents. What is some good practical advice? If you could offer one or two.
Man, that is a good question.
Because I'll just remind our audience, Nathan is a dad of 5 children, all fantastic kids.
Oh man, I praise God.
Such a joy, so much fun. And
isn't there a name for when you have 5 kids? Isn't there like a
Parents.
name? Or is it like? Isn't it called like? I don't know. Isn't it called like a Dawn or?
No. When in Spain, if you had 6 sons in a row, you were granted
7. Is it 6?
6 or 7.
Remember.
I thought it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if it was sons in a row, you were automatically granted the title of Dawn.
Yeah,
oh, crazy. Okay. That's
no,
right.
I'm not that.
Not a Dawn.
I would say that the biggest things. Well, I've learned so much, mainly because I've made a ton of mistakes. But I would say that really just going into kids with the keeping in mind the mission, which is to raise them in the fear and admonition of the Lord, to prepare them as as those that are grounded solidly in truth, so that when they leave, they will be able to, by God's grace, stand against all the other things that are out there, and really just to have fun with it as a family. I think being together as a family is a tremendous blessing. And so being able to be a team together and work together towards that mission is truly a blessing. So
that's good. That's good.
I would say, no, I'm kidding. I have no kids, but I have 4 turtles.
It's legit.
Do you want my advice on how to take care of 4 turtles?
That's okay. Just kidding.
Okay.
But I do want.
You have a lot of pets.
I
though,
do
too,
want
Nathan.
your final question, P.
Yeah.
You want me to ask a final question?
Yep.
To him.
To you?
Not to me.
Yeah,
just
to
to
him.
one of us.
But to him specifically. I got to think of a final question.
I know. Are you thinking? Do you want something more playful or more
something
serious,
fast. Just something fast? It can be to Nathan, to me,
or to Nathan,
Owen. Or to Owen.
Okay.
or to either.
But to Owen.
Okay. So, here's my question. So in the it kind of circles a little bit back to one of the very first questions you asked us. So in Lewis's space trilogy, he visits different planets, and each planet has its own sort of unique set of characteristics. I want you to quickly to describe to me the kind of planet that you would like to visit
That's cool.
on your excursion. So the main character, his name's Ransom. If you were Ransom heading to one of these planets, describe to me what the planet is like. What color is it? What's its
Does it have to be a
features?
planet in the book? Because in the series, I only read the middle book.
No, it's your own.
No, it's your own planet.
Okay.
I don't want you to describe I don't want you to describe any of the planets that he visits. No, your own. And so, like, for example, in the first one he visits, I actually forget what the name of that planet is, but it's out of the book, out of the Silent Planet. It's very pinkish, and he talks about the waves being very like tall, almost illogically tall.
Yeah.
And there's these otter-like creatures that are sentient and smart. And one of the interesting things about them is they've learned this, sort of this unhuman trait of contentment and generosity. And so they're they're kind of different and unique from humans, though they share an ability to think logically and to live in society and create utility, things like that. So tell me about your world, Owen.
Okay, this wouldn't necessarily be the world that I would see myself like colonizing, but a world of adventure would be the snowy cap-peaked mountains in there. And I see myself in a picture of like more of like a Viking that's journeying out into the unknown, and flying overhead are like dragons and stuff. And you can see in like the distance large giant castles and everything. And you're here to discover
So is the
new
entire
world and
world
adventure.
is the entire world icy?
No, but that's where the story starts. And so you can see far off in the distance forests and everything, but you're in like the ice-packed mountains, and you can see giant peaks around you, and you hear the screeches of dragons flying. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Okay. What about you, Nathan? Tell us about your planet. Well, what's the name of your planet?
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a great.
Think about it.
Yep.
All right. Tell us your planet.
My planet, mine is probably, if it was just for me, I love the idea of like raw, rugged beauty of rock cliff faces and the snow-capped mountains and the sea, the deep greens and grays and blues of a cold tide washing up on the rocky shore, and all of that is just speaks to epicness to me. But I do think there's a great beauty. So maybe that world, but the center of it is hot for some reason. Like it gets warm by lava flows or whatever. And so there's like this oasis type situation in the middle where there's still tropics and I realize I'm mainly describing things that are in our world.
I was going to say, that sounds a lot like our world.
Wow.
I like it.
And that's ridiculous. No, that's, yeah. So I don't know. There you go.
You would like our world. No,
I
it's,
guess.
it's a good one.
Hey, God did well. I mean, what can I say?
I would call it Neos Alpha.
Oh.
Neos?
Neos.
It's
What
Greek.
is Neos for what?
The new beginning.
Oh, Neos?
Neos.
Neos?
Neos Alpha. Is Alpha beginning in Greek? Is that Greek?
Yeah, it's the first letter
Okay.
of the Greek alphabet.
Yeah.
No, that's
Nice.
good. Neos Alpha. All right, what's yours?
Okay. 2 or 3 of your all-time favorite movies, not by Tolkien
Or Lewis?
or see how-
That just
well, yeah, okay. So not Narnia.
Well, Tolkien didn't direct his own
I
movie
know,
either. It's
and
Peter
neither
Jackson.
did Lewis. So
Yeah.
so other than Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, or any of the Narnia films, what are 2 or 3 of your top all-time favorite movies?
Oh man.
Got it.
Okay.
Gettysburg,
Yep.
Band of Brothers.
Oh, okay. I like it.
And I could throw in easily others. But
Yeah. I think I might have to put Gettysburg on my top ones. I like Kingdom of Heaven, the extended version.
That's a great one.
And I love Inception. I just,
Yeah.
I got to be honest.
Yep.
I love that show.
Yeah,
Preston?
I would probably say Inception as well. I really enjoyed so Inception. The Greatest Showman, I really liked a lot.
that was a great.
I really liked it.
It was a good show, yeah.
What else? I'm so not a movie person, guys.
It's okay.
I mean,
There are better
what
ways
other
to spend your time.
Yes,
I'm
that's-
not going to lie,
that's true.
but
Yeah.
I know.
once in a while,
Can I
it's
tell you
nice.
my favorite books? No. What other movies have I seen that I really enjoyed? I mean, I like the Star Wars movies, but I'm not going to pick. No, I wouldn't even put those up though.
I would put Rogue One in my
Rogue
top
One.
That's a good one.
because it's like it doesn't have really anything to do with all the others.
Yeah.
And it's truly a story
Yeah.
of like self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think it's
no, it's
beautiful.
good.
The Patriot.
I don't think I would include any of the like Harry Potter movies either, even though I do enjoy those
The books
because
are
they're
better.
series. I've never actually read the books though. I'm sure the books are always better, man. This is a hard one.
I'm being judged.
Yes.
Side note.
Heathen.
Heathen. Okay, what was that movie? It was the
Airbud.
Yes. Yep.
No, it was
That was the one.
that's-
Space Jam.
Yep. What was the war movie that was the singular take?
My Fair Lady.
That's it. No, it was 18. Let me search real quick.
A
yeah.
World War II
1912.
Is that what it was called?
I believe it was 1912.
Was that the year?
Yeah, put the is that right?
No, that's not right.
What was it about?
So it's 1917.
1917. Okay.
I think the reason why I
I don't
loved
know if I've seen that.
I loved this movie a lot, but it's because I love how it was filmed. It's a one take film. So
One
meaning,
solid take.
So what that means is the perspective of the audience as they're watching the film unfold. It appears to be a one take the whole time. It's one camera that's following the character through the battleground and on this journey. And I just love the brilliance of how it was filmed, I guess. And it was, of course, a great movie as well, but I just loved how it was filmed because for me, I'm a videographer and I like to break down movies and try to figure out how they filmed it because obviously you can't film a movie that's like 2 hours or however long it is just on one pure take.
Right.
You have to create cuts And I was trying the whole time to find out where those cuts could have been and how they would have been able to stitch those together to give it the appearance of a singular take. And they did an excellent job of doing that.
Cool,
That's
man.
awesome.
So
That's
fantastic
interesting.
movie. You haven't seen it yet? Yeah, man, check it
No,
out.
I don't think I have.
But it's not like other movies. It's the one take thing. So there's no change of camera. It doesn't follow the typical movie production patterns.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it's very good. I enjoyed that one. 1917.
Cool.
Well,
Hopefully this has been a fun, helpful,
you've maybe heard some things of value and a lot of things with no value.
with zero value. So we're glad we can help you to spend some time.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's funny.
we would encourage you guys, tune back in, Lord willing, 2 weeks. We'll hopefully have that practical approach to pain with a special guest there. And also, I'd like to ask you guys to, if you would keep me and my wife in prayer. We are expecting baby Macy Ellen any day now. So
Baby Mace.
just prayers for my wife and that everything will go well.
Yep.
Yes.
What's your nickname for her going to be?
I don't know.
Oh.
That's a good question. I think it just happens
happens?
sometimes.
Just has to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if he misses next episode, you will know why, and it will be for a good cause.
For a good
We're
cause.
so excited.
So join us again, 2 weeks, and just know you're in our thoughts and our prayers. We're lifting up our audience, and we're real thankful for you guys. So until then, God bless.
God bless.
Good night. Send us a message at feedback@shadowcastradio.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Check us out at shadowcastradio.com.